Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Dream Big with Zhanna, inspiring you to reignite, refire, and refuel your life. And we are continuing today a conversation that we started just a few days ago with this amazing expert who you see on the screen if you're watching. If not, you will hear her amazing voice. Her name is Audrey Sussman. Thank you so much and welcome to the show. Welcome back to the show, Audrey. And let me just give people the heads up. So in the previous interview, we were talking about how to truly connect and what to do when your kids are driving you crazy. And we were talking specifically about the young, not the young child, but we took the focus group newborns up to 7 years of age. In this interview, we are going to shed the light, or Audrey will share her wisdom around the 7 to 11-year-old age group, which is a tough one for a lot of parents out there, but we'll tackle that issue in real time today. So let me give you a little bit of the background on Audrey Sussman. She is PhD director and hypnotherapist at the Anxiety Control Center, and she's been working with individuals and groups as both a clinician and trainer for 30 years, developing many dynamic, effective workshops from her experiences and research. And her approach has proved effective for parents and children alike, from the gifted to handicapped. Her passion is to offer tools that can change stress and strife to an ultimate calm and loving way of being. So welcome, Audrey, again. And if you guys, I just want to make sure that you know how to find the first interview. If you are interested, it's going to be on YouTube. If you go to Zhanna Shpits and subscribe to the channel, you will see the first interview with Audrey Sussman. Just type in Dream Big with Zhanna, Audrey Sussman, and you will see that. But let's dive into this age group, Audrey. 7 to 11. What are the challenges, the most common challenges for the parents, and what are the most common challenges, I would say, from the kids' perspective?
You know, it's interesting. As you know, we have these stages of development. You know, parents, we were talking about the 0 to 7 last time, and we were talking about the terrible twos, and there's a way not to have the terrible twos. As you get into the 7 to 11, children are trying to find power within themselves. So what happens is many times there's this bumping of heads between the parent and child where, where's my sweet little child? You know, all of a sudden it looks like they're trying to pull power or tell you what to do. And many parents are like flabbergasted at this. It's like, what happened to my sweet child? And it's a normal stage of development, but there are tools you can use to actually decrease the stressors that come with this age group. Mm-hmm. So if your child is in the if the child's in the power phase, you know it because they keep telling you what to do. And you know it also because as a parent, you're going to feel irritated.
Yes.
So you can almost tell that the child's pulling power. And this is not like the child going, oh, how can I make mommy do what I want? It's really completely unconscious. The child is not trying to get one over on you. They're just they're doing a little bit of separation, to find their own way. And in doing that, they want to do it their way many times. And the parent is feeling like the rug is being pulled out from under. So where would you like me to go? Because there's so many different stages.
There's so many different stages. So the transition, what would you say would be, what would you say from your experience, the borderline? Because the 5-year-old, like transitioning to the 7, like 6 and 7, it's a distinct difference. So let's start with the 7 and then gradually go up. So Yes, let's start with this.
It's funny because, children are different today than they were 50 years ago. Our
Absolutely.
7-year-olds today are so much wiser.
Yeah.
And, whereas the 7-year, they have the internet, they all have their little phones. It's really a whole different world. And even within individual families, that's something else. If you have two children, the 7-year-old, the first one at 7 might be completely different than the second one when they hit 7. So there's almost like it's not as important to divide the 7 from the 8, 9, 10. It's important to know the stages, of course, because then you'll know what to expect. But it's more important to know this. What is the child trying to do by their, we'll call it misbehavior? What's the child trying to get? So if you know that there's a process that goes, the first thing where most bumping of heads come is when the child's trying to get attention. And how do you know that? Almost at any age group, you get on the phone, and as soon as you get on the phone, the child's there, mommy, 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 mommy. And again, if you feel irritation, it may be that the child's just seeking so much attention, and inside you're saying, I give so much to my child. Why can't they just let me be on the phone for 5 minutes? Now it's going to be intuitive, but sometimes it's important to take care of that right then and there. So the attention seeking.
So how? Let's say I'm on the phone and my child is grabbing my arm, like mom, 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 and what do you do?
So there's 2 ways of handling it. It's according to which stage they're in, but I know this is going to go against the grain with many parents, but I believe that you say to your friend, or unless it's a business thing, hopefully at that point the child knows not to interrupt the business. But let's say it's a friend. You say to them, look, give me a minute. I'll be right back. I need to talk to my child. So actually, it's the opposite of what you want to do. You want to kind of ignore the child, and they keep getting louder and louder, and then there's a lot of anger. But then when you get off the phone, there's a certain way of handling it. So the first thing is to say, I see you needed my attention. What do you need? And you might be surprised that the kid just has a simple request, and then you answer it. And then you get to say, you know what? I understand that you really want to know if you could have that cookie now, but I was on the phone, and it embarrasses me when I have to tell my friend I have to get off to deal. So we need to create some sort of signal in the future.
I wanted to ask you, Audrey, do you mind if I ask you this question? So that people really get that. And you said it several times, even with the younger children, it's always the key. You never start with the you, like you made me feel this way. It's always like I got embarrassed, I got sad, can you explain why?
Okay, so basically, and the next time we talk, I think I'll make a little chart for you. And so your people can actually see what skill to use when. So basically, the child, anytime the child, again, I'm going to go with what I said last time, steam's coming out of their ears, they're crying, they're jumping up and down, they're pulling on your shirts, mommy, mommy, mommy. That's an indication, even though we don't want to admit it, that the child is having a problem. If the child's having a problem, the first step is to say what you need. The second step is, after you've satisfied whatever the need is, you picked it up really very clearly. I get the you, I always say you is the fingers pointing that way. And anytime the finger points that way, the other person gets defensive.
Absolutely.
Just think of, if we think of ourselves, if, somebody points the finger at us, we're like, don't you talk to me like that. And the kid's the same.
Yeah.
So just by converting it to that, I feel. And so what might happen if your relationship is a little kind of stressful right now, what might happen is the kid might say to you, well, I don't care if you feel like that. And so then you still need the skill, because telling the child to shut up and don't talk to mommy like that, you're not modeling the way you want your child to be.
Mm-hmm.
Again, if the kid says, I don't care how you feel, they're into a different stage. So let me just go over the stages.
Sure.
Stage that a child goes where parents like to call these the stages of misbehavior. I call them the stages of I need. Okay. So
Mm-hmm.
the first stage is actually attention.
Mm-hmm.
They need attention, even though you might have given them all the attention in the world. Then, if that doesn't work and they don't feel they're getting enough attention,
Mm-hmm.
move into the power. I'm going to get my needs met no matter what. And power is really hard for parents because you're going to feel very angry when the child's pulling power. The next stage is this is the worst one. Well, for parents, it's the revenge stage. I can't get enough attention. I don't feel powerful. I could only hurt you back. When a kid gets into that stage, it's heartbreaking because it really feels like your child wants to hurt you.
Mm-hmm.
They have a lot more energy than we have. So you don't want to get into that kind of game. Let me give you the last stage. The last stage, and this is the most heartbreaking for me as a therapist, is when the child goes, I can't get the attention. I have no power. I can't even hurt them back because they're bigger than me. They go into hopeless, helpless, or depression. And that's the stage where it's the other three stages, it's very much easier to pull the child back to the sweet, loving child that you know. Once they get into the depressed, I can't do anything right, there's something wrong with me, this hopeless, then it might need a little more help than just trying to do it as parenting. You might need the help of somebody trained in these skills.
Mm-hmm.
But at least if parents know the 4 stages, they could know where the child is. And again, it's not the child purposely saying, I'm in the stage of aggression here. No, it's they really feel powerless. So when you know that that's what's going on, let's go there into the power stage. You can't make me. That's called power.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking a little bit before, and what I would say to the parent in this, admit, you're right. I can't make you do that. And walk away. Later on, you come back and you say, I have a problem. There is your stuff all over the living room. And you're right, I can't make you clean it up. So I have to, if we could either come along with a solution together of what to do about that, or what I'm going to do is get a basket and I'm going to put everything in that basket. When I had my kids were little, I had a basket that went on the steps. It was one of these really nice baskets that kind of like went down one step and another. Can't remember the name of them. They're really nice. And anything I would find around, instead of being angry at my kids all the time for being messy, I'd put things in the basket. And I said, if the basket's still here by Friday, filled up, I'm going to give it to Goodwill.
Oh, what a beautiful solution.
Yeah. And so the first time that, they didn't know I was going to be serious. Now, remember, it might have been some of the clothing that I bought. So what I did is I actually put it in the garage. And then when they're like, where are my sneakers? I said, remember what I said, that if it's not cleaned up by Friday, I don't want to argue with you anymore. I just put it away. So now we have to save up for new sneakers. So you can, whatever way you come up with saving. The first strike, I usually say, if you'd like to work this out with me and figure a way, now you can get into problem solving. But this is another completely different, you have to know how to listen, active listen. You need to know how to I message. I message means I feel. Yeah. And if you do both of those well, then you can get into that's a whole nother topic, the problem solving. Mm-hmm. But again, what I do is instead of engaging in a power struggle, I look for ways that I could find that I'm not going to be permissive, but I'm not going to be arguing every day you didn't clean the living room and it's still dirty. It takes me a lot less energy to put those things in the basket, and then at the end of the week, put them in the garage, and then, maybe I give them back, which the first couple of times I did. After that, we really didn't have the problem anymore. Mm-hmm. So luckily I had used a lot of my skill beforehand, but kids are messy.
Mm-hmm. And
So
it also, I love it. I love it. And what I love about all of that is that you, as a parent, have to be ahead of the game. You have to raise it. All circles back into raising your level of confidence and understanding before the child gets that. So it's not about the child, it's always about you. And if we want the real connection with our children, we'd better step up and understand. And also, Audrey, the skills that you are talking about, are they only applicable between in the relationship between the child and the parent, or do they kind of transcend in all types of relationship?
I love this. After I do a parenting group, so invariably the parent will say, can you help me with my husband? Can you help me with my wife? And I say, you know what? It's the same communication skill.
Mm-hmm.
Active listen, iMessage, and knowing which one you should be in, where you need to be, plus looking for the good. Now, for adults, I do some other hypnotic things, and I'll just give one little tip. Like between husband and wife, if they're hitting heads, hypnotically, you go back and you think about when you first met. And so both people start thinking about a nice time when they first met, where they were all in love. And as soon as they get that image really, really clear in their minds, I say, okay, I want you to look in each other's eyes. And so what happens is almost like they bring that wonderful feeling they just were in, and they see each other differently again. Now, it's not the end all, but it's a good beginning.
Yes.
Connecting.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And I just thank you so much for sharing that, because it's like it's everywhere. If you get that, it's not only about children, it's about the co-workers, it's about strangers on the street, it's about your marriage, relationship, anything, you name it. And it all boils down to how do we master the art of connecting and communication. I just love what you're saying, and I love the topic itself. So going back, let's just shift gears and to the same specific 7 to 11-year-old group. Let's say, let me give you a specific situation when it's the power struggle, and it's like, no, I'm not going to do that. So if it's like negation completely, like, can you go please, like clean the room again? No, I'm not going to do that. Shut the door or slam the door. And the solution, what's the solution? If you could walk.
I wish I had a solution to everything, but I do have one for this. I can't say that every single solution is going to work in every situation, but I can guarantee if you know how to listen and you know how to do the iMessage of what you need, and you know how to problem solve, it's going to make the times when you're having a problem very few. But if the child's saying, I had a teen come in. She was 13, so a little older than this group. And she was very angry. But let me even go back. I'll go with this. This is a little young. This is a 4-year-old. So I'm trying to find one right at the age group. So let's just say the child doesn't want to do the chore that you've decided they should do.
Mm-hmm.
So what I work with my parents, for the young kids, we actually have a wheel. And all the different chores are on the wheel. Mm-hmm. And there's a spinner, and it says mom, dad, brother, sister, other brother, whatever. And the kids, you list all the chores, including cleaning and cooking and shopping, because kids don't see that as something you do. So they'll say, well, what are you doing? Mm-hmm. So you list all the things that are done for the family. And then let's say cleaning the toilets, cooking. Now, when I had one little girl, she was 4, and she wanted to clean toilets. That's what she wanted to do. And her mother said, you know what? I'd much rather clean her room and have her clean all the toilets in the house. Now, that kid did a better job on those toilets. Yes, it was a little wet, a little messy, but she cleaned them very well. Uh-huh. And as she grew up, then she wanted to do the ironing. I was like, now I don't know if people iron these days, but in those days they did. I mean, I still have an iron. So
me too. And my kids know how to do that.
Yes. So by the age of 7, this child had moved from, she didn't want to clean toilets anymore, but she liked ironing. Mm-hmm. So again, you don't want to give a 4-year-old an iron. It's a little dangerous. You might help with iron handkerchiefs,
Yeah.
So basically, some of that I'm not going to do it is because the child feels like I wasn't consulted. So none of us like to be told what to do,
Right.
even if they're choosing a job. Now, when my own daughter, when she got older, she liked to cook, and honestly, 11 years old, she was cooking, and I don't like to cook. So it was such a good. There were so many things I'd rather do than cook. So
Absolutely. Can I just add from my experience? I love what you're saying. In my work, what I call it creating the team with your kids. It's basically literally creating the team with your kids. And by that, what I mean is they pick, if we can empower them by asking them questions, what would you like to do as part of the team? Then they would pick cooking or ironing, or you could be surprised, like cleaning the toilets. And that would be something delightful for them to do. And so I think the weakest link in the families who are struggling with the connection with the children. Don't you agree with me?
yes.
That it's again lack of communicating. Just like you said, that they don't know when you put on the wheel how much of cleaning or shopping or putting the gas in the car, driving time, like how much of that occupies your day. But when you they just simply unaware of that because they see mommy and all of a sudden mommy asks them to do. So what would you say to that as the key component? I guess my question is, would you advise, or has it ever been an issue with the families that you worked with, that the adults would use the adult's expectation of the kid would be up to this point, and they would all, and the kid knowing that this is what my mom what my dad expects me to do, I will never go above, what's the point, because they don't expect me to do that. And so that piece, and also the language that we use with our children, by that I mean, does it help when we baby the children, when we do the baby talk when they're like 5 or 7 or 10, and we still consider them to be kids? So is it helpful, or should we turn it around from square one?
A good question. So there's a lot of questions in there. So let me go
Yeah.
with expectations first, because that's really good. That's a good place to start. We neither want to keep the bar so high that they can never achieve it, or keep it so low that they feel like we don't think they're worthy. Also, sometimes babying a child or doing things for a child that they could do for themselves actually makes a child feel inept. It's like, she doesn't think I can even do this. And it's unconscious. Again, it's unconscious. But at the same time, is, let's say, I want to go back to like picking chores. There's one more step on the chores. If they pick cooking, cleaning, dusting, whatever they pick, you need to have consequences if it doesn't happen that they work out. So you don't want to be the judge and jury. You don't want to be the reminder. So, again, there's all sorts of fun things. Kids love stickers. Up until the age of 6, stickers work great. But even adults love check marks.
Absolutely.
So if you have something on the fridge where they check off they did the job, walking the dog, whatever, they can say, look, I did that. And if you're giving them a hard time, they go back to the chart and say, no, I did that. Why are you telling me I have to go walk the dog when it's my sister's turn? And you go look at the chart and you see they're right. Now, that doesn't mean you don't sometimes say, could you please do this anyway? But let me go back to expectations. So I'm using one. This is just because it's simple. Let's say their job is to clean off the table after dinner and to, wash it down. And let's say you go in, and I have heard parents in my groups, they start off and they'll go like, they didn't do a good job. There's still stuff on the table. And I say the opposite to them. I say, you know what? Get more bees with honey than vinegar is like my saying. if you say to the kid, oh my God, that one part of the table, it is shining. I could almost see my face. And when I walked by and I said, what a good job you did on that side, I was just so happy. What you're going to find is the next day that you do another 3 inches. And if you do it again, so it's almost like finding something you could comment on that's true, that you can say, whoa, you know what? It was so nice that the dishes were in the sink, even though they were supposed to put in the dishwasher. And then you could do an iMessage, I felt so happy not having them on the table. So what do we need to do to get them in the, then you could go to the problem solving game.
Right.
But you could find the child being what I call being good, but I don't mean the word good is good. Doing something that is in the direction of the goal, but not over commenting on it, not saying you're such a good child. So let me talk about that. How we compliment is also really important. Saying you're an angel to a child. I use this in one of my groups. I said, there's a little boy in the back of this car. Him and his sister are back there. And they were very quiet. It's like 25 minutes. They're quiet. So the mother turns around. She's in the front. And she says to the little boy, oh, you've been such an angel this whole trip. The next moment, there was a little ashtray in the back with junk in it. It was actually not cigarettes, but money and stuff. He took the whole thing and poured it on his sister's head. And the parents going, but I complimented him. And I said, well, the good news is let's go and talk to little Jimmy and see what happened. And we did. And he said, I talked to him first because I wanted to kind of and he said to me, I was just thinking, I wished my mother would be, something nasty. And so when she told him what an angel he was so guilty. He had to show her he's not. So complimenting children on what they're doing rather than who they are is a better way of going.
Yeah. Yes, I agree with you 100%. I hope people, guys, just listen and re-listen again, because this is gold right here. This is gold, and they cannot meet the expectation. It's like it becomes a burden on the child to hear a comment like that, and they want to act out.
So the expectation is too high. They can't keep being an angel.
The expectation is too high, and they don't want that plank so high. They need to lower the bar so that in kind of disappoint or prove them the parents are wrong. It's amazing. I mean, it's an endless topic, and we just scratched the surface. But I want to. The program is coming to an end. I mean, just this section of it, and we will have more episodes with Audrey. We're going to move up. In the next episode, we're going to talk about the 11 through the teenage years and what to do and how to communicate with them. So stay with us. But just for now, I want to kind of wrap it up with, in conclusion, just the gist of what you've all these golden nuggets that you kind of gave us today. This is 4 stages of where the child is, and I actually made notes. So stage number 1 is attention. He's craving for attention. Correct me if I'm wrong. Number 2 is the power, like he doesn't feel or she doesn't feel they have the power, so they start acting up. Number 3 is revenge, and number 4, hopeless and helpless.
Yes.
Right? So it's better if your child is not going. I mean, if you're noticing which stage your child is in, so that you can catch it and nip it in the bud, so to speak.
Tools for each stage.
For each stage.
Time here, but like the first thing is, how do you know which stage they're in? We give her a quick overview, but there's actual ways to know from your own reaction. And then there's actual tools, what you can use when they're in each stage that help.
Yeah.
And, I thought, do we have enough time for me to wrap it up with an example?
Absolutely. Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely. Yes, please go for it.
Okay. So this, I always, when I do individual work, I always do like a parent has a 20-minute with me, I need you now kind of session. So I had this one parent call me up and she said, Audrey, I don't know what to do with my kid. She said the child's just around 11 and a half at this point, and her sister I think is 9 and a half, something like that. And she said, my child talks about how she would never bully, and they're talking about bullying. They never would bully. And she said, but I was listening, and she had a friend over, and she was really mean to her sister. She made her sister feel like she said something to her, like was really bullying, like insulting her because she still likes her little stuffed animal or something like that. Mm-hmm. So what happened was the child actually came down and told the mother. She said, I was really mean to my sister, and I feel kind of guilty. And the mother ended up yelling at her, saying, you know what? Look how you bullied your sister. You're so interested in not bullying, and look what you just did. But the parent felt guilty then because the child came and said, I feel guilty. So I said to the parent, well, first of all, good job. You're a good parent. The fact that your daughter could come down and say to you, I just did something nasty to my sister, tells me that you're a good parent, or they wouldn't have trusted.
Yeah.
I said, there's just one little change I would have made in it before you told her about bullying, which I think you needed to. Mm-hmm. It would have been great if you could have said, I'm so proud of you for coming down and telling me. Mm-hmm. That took a big person to realize you hurt your sister's feelings.
Yeah.
And give her a hug and be proud of her, because what happens is then the next time she will feel confident to come again, rather than now she got this whole lecture about bullying. Yes, you want to tell her that was hurtful, but she already knew.
Yeah.
So again, to wrap it up, it's like, figure out, and this parent's a pretty wicked parent. She said, I know what she was doing. She was trying to show off to her friend, but it still was bullying. And I said, you're right. But the time when your child's coming to you is the time you want to embrace. Mm-hmm. And as I said, this is a great parent. This is a great family. But there's these little tiny, this is why we have that 20 minutes. I need you now so we can fix it. And I said, it's never too late to go and say, I didn't tell you how proud I was when you came down. That takes a big person to say I made a mistake.
Yeah.
I forgot to tell you how proud I was. And then if you really want, you could actively listen. It must have hurt your feelings that I went right into how much you bullied when you already knew it was wrong. And then the child can get to say, yeah, it did, whatever. And then you're easing your way towards the teens, so they won't have all those resentful feelings from the 7 to 11.
Yes. And you also want them to come back to you, because otherwise they're gonna suppress the emotions in the body, and then they have no one to share with, and it creates a lot more issues and a lot more problems for them and for you. And then all of a sudden you're wondering, like, why are they not talking to me? And it's just little things like that you can fix. There is nothing guys that you cannot fix and you cannot be aware of. And just the desire, if you're watching or listening us right now, it just tells us a lot about how good as a parent you are, truly. Yeah, if the topic is of interest. So I just want to thank you, Audrey, for your wisdom. If you have questions, comments, or if you would like to have one-on-one time with Audrey Sussman, then you can find her on the same website. It's anxietycontrolcenter.com. She has lots of resources over there. And there's one gift that you were talking about in the previous interview. It's still available on the same site.
Available. It's the Calming the Mind tool. It's a 7-minute video where there's the tool that you can use, and it will only take you 30 seconds once you learn it. But it's a 7-minute video because I do a lot of things in it, and then a little bit of energy healing at the end. And it is a freebie, and it's at the anxietycontrolcenter.com site. And if you go on the right hand corner, it says mind calming tool. You put your email in and it comes to you as a video
gift, as a gift. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And just to reach out to Audrey directly, you can comment below the video. If you have friends who would benefit from this discussion and conversation and the wisdom from Audrey, please by no means share the video. You can also, the link on YouTube is going to be available very soon. You can subscribe to this channel, Zhanna Shpits on YouTube. It's going to be there, as well as the previous interview with Audrey. And we'll see you next time. And next time we'll talk with Audrey Sussman, and the conversation is going to be around the next age group from 11 through the teenage years. I can't wait to get into the topic.
Me too.
Thank you so much, Audrey. Thank you. And we'll see you next time. Bye, guys. Bye.
Bye, everyone.